Hello and welcome to the distribution team meeting for today, Monday, February the 8th, 2021. I have the first agenda item. Last week on triage, I spent about 4 hours. I think it might have been a little bit more, but I really didn't record it. One thing put in their reporting feedback, two things flagged for maintainer discussion, and one flag for scheduling work. But we had a lot of pipeline failures. I put the log of all of them into the triage issue. Kind of the highlights: EKS resource exhaustion, package sizing errors, charge backup errors. We had a broken master last week. I put links to all the things that have their own individual issues in there as well, if you'd like to take a look at what went on and how we fixed them. We also have some miscellaneous things. Just want to point out, we apparently still have race conditions for taggings. So you can have a pipeline fail because we had something tagged too early or tagged too late, and it can break the pipeline. We have caching failures. Our debt proxy failed last week, and we continue to see upstream connection failures for Bitnami, which is odd. We saw one which was unrelated, but then one that I couldn't trace down to not being that. So for next week, Gerard has the triage. So next up is Jason.
Actually, a question for you. When you say
Sure.
Bitnami, you're referring to the Bitnami chart repository?
Yes.
Okay. So, from the few times I've seen it, we're primarily seeing an issue where we're actually getting invalid content back, whether that's because there was an issue with the CDN they have in front or where they're hosting it. Basically, we can't get valid data, and then something happens to break it.
Yeah. Is there a way with that to you think to fix it by putting a double check, like if it fails, just catch the fail and try like one or two more times, or
That's a tough one because what the problem that we're facing is not a our code problem. It's like we have to figure out the difference between literally there is no repository there and oh yeah, no, it had an error fetching because their site is down. And unfortunately, what Helm gives us back in terms of output is not exactly clear all the time.
okay, gotcha. Okay. Um, any other questions?
Does anybody have an idea what happened with the number of pipelines that sent their failure messages 4 days late?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know what was going on there. But yeah, by the time they sent their messages, well, their environments were already shut down by that point, actually. So there was nothing even to debug.
Yeah.
Right. I think we may want to take those couple of instances and ask production like, hey, do you know what happened here? Because if this was just us, what happened? If this was not just us, I would expect we'd heard more noise about that. The tagging race conditions, is this just in Omnibus?
I think it was just omnibus. I have to go look. I read through the notes, made a high level summary, so I need to go look at which one. I linked it in the. Let me go look at that.
Yeah, there was at least one of the omnibus ones this past week
Yeah, it
where
was omnibus.
the RC was tagged and any builds we had in flight then could no longer build their Docker images.
Yeah, we addressed this somewhat in the CNG because we pull all the information in the beginning and then stash that to walk through the rest of the pipeline. I don't know how applicable that would be to try to re-implement in the omnibus pipes. It's not perfect for us either because we do occasionally have a problem where we go to pull the assets image and you end up with Rails having one, but now a new pipeline ran over here, and now we have a different set of assets in the workhorse image, which has been in its own right hilarious. That's just something we'll have to keep our eyes on.
Yep. I confirmed it was omnibus, and yeah, there's links to all the failures in the issue. I put a summary of all the stuff that I tracked against last week. Thank you to the folks who helped out with EKS exhaustion stuff, because I'm still waiting on my access request to get access to be able to get in there to look at those. So thank you to the folks who picked up when I said, hey, can someone look at this because I can't see it yet. So thank you to those folks. It was most of the team, so just not gonna call it, just thank you team for like being like, I can't see this yet, I'm still without access, can you look at this? So thank you for that. And thanks to Jason for the backup fix for the charts. I was always purging GitLab cache because that kept failing and kept failing, and that fix got rid of that one. So thank you, Jason, for that one.
Yeah, that was fun to trace down.
Yeah.
Fun, air quotes.
Yeah. Lots of good team stuff last week on the pipelines. We had a lot of failures, and there was a lot of just people leaping in. Like I'd wake up and come back from my work hours, and I'd see like people leapt in and take it because there was stuff happening in the middle of the night as well for me. So thank you to everybody for that as well. But I said it's all documented out. I'm probably going to write up one for there's a caching failure one that there was a couple of. I have not fully dug into it because there was like too many things where there was more breakage than that last week. But I'm going to try and write that one up today and be like, can we just write it up and dive into it? Because we had a couple where there was multiples of the same and it wasn't clear why. But we had so many of them that we kind of put out the biggest fires first last week. But eventful week. Gerard, I hope, may you have a less interesting week on triage. And that's all I've got. Any other questions last week? Because I know there's a lot of context in that issue written out. So
yeah, last week was a firestorm. So let's hope that the next time we're due for team swag, we're not buying everybody fireman's helmets, because this is getting old.
yeah. That is a thing where we might want to have a collab session, because I don't think it's appropriate for this meeting, but we should probably think about on those pipelines and what can we do. So I know Balu's been doing some work to kind of slowly iterate through and get some things worked out. I think it'd be worth just like a smash session to just talk about what are all the things we've all seen. We have some issues open, triage it, and try and figure out when we can schedule work and how we're going to schedule work. Because I feel like when these things explode, they all explode in the same week. And I just feel like it distracts a lot from our actual work. Right, so we should figure out how to crush it out so that we can get rid of it, and for good, or at least get rid of as much as we can. Obviously, it's software; things always go wrong, right? There's a reason why there's an old saying about that. So, but some of these I think are things that we can get out. But yeah,
we also need to like move towards the workflow rules and things like this. So there's a number of things that will probably be a good idea to do that with.
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody else have questions, comments on the joys of last week before we move on to the next items? No? Okay. So, at very long last, what seems like an extremely long period of time sometimes, we have GitLab pages, and not just GitLab pages, but all of GitLab pages, including authentication support in Cloud Native. In this case, here in Helm. This has been a long blocker / interested item for many very large customers. I can't name all of them, so I won't name any of them, but let's just say that those customers that want to deploy large instances in Kubernetes have been waiting on pages in Kubernetes before they do their deployments, because they wanted to have less hybrid going on. This has been a collaboration between many parts of GitLab at this point, pages, memory, ourselves, QE, a large amount of effort, and it has been a long time coming. It's really good to see it in place. So everybody on this team that has helped with that, has debugged with that, has dealt with the joys of making sure everything is configured right and all the support's done right, and that we can work with all the cloud providers for all the storages. Thank you to everybody involved. Very happy customers very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like Jason said, thank you everyone for contributing this. And Josh mentioned that in the channel too. Congratulations. Okay, my next is mine. Just a quick update. Steven has a family emergency and he's taking this week off. So if you have anything you wanted to sync up with Steven, please ping me. I will be here always. I will be available. So thank you.
Does anybody have any other items to add quickly? Otherwise, we are at the end of this week's agenda.
Yes, but I'd like to pause the recording for it. Anything else?
So, as Robert was saying, anything else? Otherwise, crickets 1, crickets 2, crickets 3. Good week, everybody.